We are here with Vinny Appice, who recently you split ways with Kill Devil Hill, but we're actually here to talk about your new band with Doogie White and Marco Mendoza, and then this 15-year-old, I guess, kid named Iggy.
He's 16 now.
16.
he's 16.
So now, do you call it WAMI or do you call it Whammy?
They're calling it WAMI, Whammy, and he's Iggy is his name. It's everybody's last name and then his first name, so it becomes that. And it's not my band. It was something that came across from Metal Mind Productions in Poland, who did the Heaven and Hell shows whenever we went over and played there. And I know Derek, and he contacted me and said, I got this album going on. Would you want to play on it? And Marco Mendoza was scheduled to play on it, and Doogie, and I'm love those guys. And I said, yeah, let me hear what you got, and I really liked what I heard. And then I was told the kid's playing guitar. Iggy is 15 years old at the time. And I listened to him and went, holy shit, this kid's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, when this comes out, people are they're not going to know, it's a 15-year-old, he's 16 now. They're just going to be blown away. He's a monster guitar player. And he's mature the way he plays, the feel and the chords, and really cool. It's like he's been, doing this for 20 years, but he couldn't be because he'd be -5,
Yeah,
so
no.
it's incredible.
Now
So
you've played with all kinds. Sorry. I was just going to say, you've played with all kinds of great guitarists, from Tony Iommi and so on and so forth. Who would you compare him to? Does he compare to a Randy Rhoads or to a Tony, or where do you find him? Where do you situate him?
He sounds more like a Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen, and just fast too when he wants to be. But he's got that melodic stuff of both of those guitar players. That's the cool thing. He's very, very fast but he's tasteful. He plays tasteful leads, and everything's not about speed. It's about some speed and then throwing in some cool, melodies within solos and stuff. And that's what those guys do. And I think that shows a sign of maturity there, because a lot of young players like to play fast and get as many notes in as possible. But this kid is really like tasteful and reminiscent of those guys,
Yeah, now you just put out a video up on YouTube, Wild Women You Ought to Know, I guess a first single. When does the album come out?
The album, I was told, comes out in the middle of May.
Okay.
So it's coming out soon, and I never met Iggy. We did this over the internet, files were sent to, at least to me. I don't know how the other guys did it. And then, I kept listening to the songs and getting into the songs, and then I did the drum parts, And, so it came out great. He sent me the mix of the album, and fantastic. Great songs, too. Really good songs, and I'm blown away by it,
Can you tell me a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, can you tell me a little bit about the challenges of doing music through the internet? Because there's certain a feel about it and a smell and all that by being in a room with the guys, and then there's this sort of, you get a chance to be at home in your comfort and you get the files come in. What are the challenges and what are some of the advantages of recording sort of via the net?
Well, the challenges are, and this happens all the time, I get stuff sent to me, and it's so raw, the parts are there, but you listen to it, or I listen to it, and I go, oh, is this the verse?
Right.
Is this the chorus, or is this the pre-chorus? And how come this other part only repeats 2 times and then goes somewhere else?
Right.
So, and a lot of times, most of the time, people leave it up to me to interpret that. They don't say, I want you to play this on here and this on here. I mean, they just sent me the files for this stuff, and there was no vocals. It was basically like a scratch guitar and scratch bass on it and the click. And that's the challenge of going, wow, and it works to your advantage, because sometimes I'll play stuff thinking it was this part and do a fill. And now when I hear the finished song, I go, wow, that fill sounds cool. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Normally I wouldn't have did it there. And then sometimes I go, oh, had I known that was the chorus, I would have played those accents a little more. So that's challenging to do that, and, but it does come out good. It does come out good, because they're playing, once we get the drum tracks, and I play it like I'm with the band. I'm feeling it, I've always played like that. So the drum tracks got heart to it. So when I send it back and people play to it, everything's redone to the drums. They don't use the scratch guitars and basses. Everything's recorded again. And then it becomes, that heart passes over in the feel and the soul. So that happens, Sometimes it doesn't, but on this one, it really happened. So.
It really happened, yeah. And I guess for most recordings, or at least most in metal, the drum tracks are usually one of the things that go down first, right? I mean, that's the foundation for most of the start of most albums, right? Yeah.
The drum's always first. I mean, even in the old days, before Pro Tools, like Sabbath and Dio, we would write the songs, play them together, and there's a big advantage to that. Obviously, you're playing it with the band, and you go in and record, and the main thing we go for first is that a good drum track? You go, yeah, that's good. Then we'll usually listen to the bass and fix it, or just redo the bass again. Yeah. So you're almost doing the same thing, but you just didn't play it together as a band. Yeah. And then you start fixing stuff up, layering guitars and things like that.
And it's got to be great working with Marco Mendoza. I mean, he is just a champion on the bass. I mean, he's just one of the best.
Marco's incredible. And then I've seen him, play around LA and with Joey Heredia, and I've seen him do a bass solo, and he's, singing at the same time. It's just incredible. So as soon as they said Marco was playing on it, I went, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. So, he's incredible, and he played some great stuff on the record. And, we're going to do some dates in October, November. Okay. So, hopefully he's on board with us.
Oh, good. So, I was going to ask you about Last in Line, but I also wanted to know just, if there was touring plans. So there's a few dates coming up in October. Now, are they going to be in Europe, or are they going to be in North America, or we don't know yet? Hello? So we are talking with Vinny. Now, our call dropped, so this is sort of a part two. Now, we were finishing up with Whammy, so you've got some dates coming up in the fall, which are going to be North American or European, or where are those dates going to be?
I think it's going to be European. They were talking about doing some stuff maybe in October, November, and I would imagine it's in Europe. Start off there.
Okay, great.
So, so I'm looking forward to that. That should be pretty cool.
And just before I get to Last in Line, we've spoken in the last couple of years and done different interviews, and you had mentioned you had shoulder surgery and all that. And at the time you told me it was okay and you were back, but are we still okay? How are your shoulders? How is your health in terms of playing drums?
Oh, you know what? I'm kicking butt. I mean, I've always taken care of myself, and stayed healthy, and I always go to the gym, and so I'm strong, and I never stop playing, and that's a big thing. Where as far as my shoulders, the one I had the surgery on is just incredible. So the other one hurts a bit, and if I reach my arm out straight out and try to turn the light off or something, I can feel it. I go, ooh, but it's not bad enough where how the other one got really bad and I had to get surgery. So I'm leaving it for now. And playing it doesn't hurt because I know I'm not going up in the air with the giant drum sets anymore. And so it's kicking ass. But, that's something to watch for when you play drums and you're moving around like that. Your shoulders get worn out after a while.
Right. So let's look at Last in Line. So you've got the former Dio members as you want. You got Vivian Campbell, you've got Jimmy Bain, you've got yourself, and What are the plans? Now, I think that I read that you were making new music, right? You're recording new music, or have you started yet?
Yeah, we started writing, and it's gone great, you know, because that's the hard part. Like, okay, it's easy to get together and play the old songs and have fun and go out and play. Then it comes down to, okay, we're going to write next week, you know, and then you don't know how it's going to go because we haven't been in a room writing together for 30 years, you know.
Right.
And it went fantastic. We got about 5 tunes written, and they're really cool, and they sound like us. They sound like Dio, and it's very interesting how quickly it came together, and we're happy about it. We're having fun down there in exchanging ideas, and it's really, really a good vibe, you know. It's just it's nothing where there's any attitudes or egos or anything like that. It's
Right.
wonderful, actually. You know, in this way, when it's in that environment, you can express your ideas without having to worry or think about some guy's going to go, well, I don't think that's good, or no, we shouldn't do it that way. You know, all the ideas are put out there, and we go, yeah, that's cool, let's try it, you know. There's no quarrels, there's no attitude. It's really cool. So it's going great. So we got about 5, and then in April we're going to the studio to record a couple of them. So we have some stuff down, and then looks like we have a pretty nice record deal sitting there, and Steve Strange from Europe. He's a very famous guy in Europe. He's handling the band, and so he's in the driver's seat, and we got a great driver. So
Yeah. Now, how was it reconnecting with Vivian after all these years? I mean, we all know that Dio and Vivian had a bit of a meltdown, but how was it for him to come back and sort of reconnect playing those songs? Was it strange for him? Do you know at all, or?
Well, you know, it started with he got up and played Rainbow in the Dark with Steel Panther a couple of years ago.
Right.
And I don't know, something clicked, and then it made him like start to look at that and go, wow, it's part of my past, part of my history. And then he called me and said, hey, would you be up for jam? You know, we've always stayed in touch here and there, you know.
Right.
And I've even gone to see him play when he played his solo stuff in a little club or wherever he was playing. And so he wanted to jam. I said, yeah, let's call Jimmy. You know, we got all of Jimmy. And we started playing all the old songs, and it's like after 5 minutes, it was tight. It was amazing. So we had a good time, and then we did it again. And then Viv was really getting into it, and we said, let's do some gigs. So we were all up for some gigs. And we did 2 shows in California. We did 4 shows in Europe.
Right.
A couple of 5 shows in Europe. One of them big giant festival, and then we went to Japan. And it's fun. And even Viv is like, wow, you know, this was a great band.
Yeah, I wonder if it's been somewhat cathartic for him. I mean, there was so many bad feelings there. I wonder if it's sort of like said, you know what, it's okay. It's time to just move on, kind of thing, right?
Yeah. You know, in the beginning, we had fun. We were a great band. We had fun together. We liked hanging out with each other. What happens with a lot of bands is the business part of it. Yeah. That comes into play, and that starts to cause a problem. And it did in Sabbath, you know, with Dio and I lineup, and that becomes a problem. And it's not the music so much, you know, and. So it's usually a business breakup that happens, not a musical breakup. So, you know, and then it went whatever way it went with Viv and Ronnie, and, you know, it's years later, and you only live once, so it's just like, okay, this was a good thing.
Yeah, and I think it's great for the fans. I think the fans want to see you guys on stage, because for many people, that was the definitive lineup, right?
Yeah, that was, and judging by what we saw already with the audience, the people that come see the band, and the places have been packed too, which is a great thing, and they are eating it up. They are loving this stuff because the first 2 albums especially, were so strong, and Ronnie's legacy was so strong, and people love Ronnie, and you know, there's never going to be a singer like Ronnie ever.
No.
You know, and he loved his fans, and the whole thing's so strong that they want to see the closest thing they can get to Ronnie in that music. You know, and those albums were big. You know, so I know there's a lot of bands out there that do different tributes and stuff, but we know all the notes.
Yeah, and you were on the albums at least the albums that mattered. So, speaking of albums and things that matter, Kill Devil Hill, you recently departed the band. You have a couple of words as to why, and you know, do you wish them well and all that wonderful stuff?
Yeah, it wasn't a musical breakup at all. It was more of what you want to do with. I mean, I started the band. It was my band, and then, you know, Rex came into the band, and he's a known dude and strong personality, and it became a great band. So it's not a musical problem at all. It's more of a business thing where scheduling and the idea of how to make this work, the time involved, and all the different things. You know, obviously I had a lot of stuff on my plate, and it's hard to devote to one thing when these other really good things are happening too. So it was just a mutual thing where, look, I think it's better if you guys continue and get somebody else, and you know, see what happens.
But it's got to be challenging, right? It's got to be challenging.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, you know, especially when you created it. You know, it's like, you know, it was after my shoulder surgery that I had drum tracks recorded, and I couldn't play, and we started with those drum tracks. I had Mark Zavon come down. First, Jimmy Bain came down and played on it, on some of the drum feels I had, and then Mark Zavon came down, and we had some songs from that, and it was like, hey, this is cool. And then Mark turned me on Dewey, and Dewey came down. So it was like built from nothing. And it's really nice to see it grow into something, because I never really had that in my career where, wow, we're able to go do a tour or go this and get on the radio and all that stuff.
But even as it grows, you know, starting a new band, and I guess we were going back to 2011 or whatever, or 2012.
2010.
2010. It is hard in this day and age, given our context with the YouTubes and the downloading, to get a band of original music going. I mean, it's got to be exceptionally difficult.
It really is, and that's one of the problems. I mean, actually, it started at the end of 2009. I started doing this.
Right.
And, you know, you devote 4 years, almost 5 years to this thing, and it's like, wow, what does it take to get this across, you know? And, you know, especially when Rex joined the band, it's like, okay, people know Rex, people know me. It's not like it's a bunch of new guys trying to make it, you know? And it was like, wow, this is really, really hard to get this thing off the ground. So, you know, it seems to be doing better now, and it comes down to getting people around you that know what they're doing.
Yeah, so
you know, like record companies, managers, agents, and different things. That's a real important part of being in the band, you know. Yeah. And unless it's an all-star band, then it's easy to go out and do stuff. You go, you know, people can work with it. Like Laughs and Lines, a lot more sellable on this level than Kill Devil Hill when it comes to agents booking gigs. That's the way the business works. You know, people want to see or hear music that they know, you know.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, so it's a crazy business right now. And Rex and I were shocked that, wow, this is the third tour already, and we're still, you know, struggling to get this thing off the ground.
Yeah,
you know?
and I mean, people forget.
Still albums. You almost got to force feed people. It's amazing.
Oh, it absolutely is. And people forget that there's no big record company with tour support back in the 70s and 80s. Now you go out there and you're working on a shoestring budget, if any budget at all, and you know it gets tough after a while.
Yeah, that's exactly. You're going out and you're making money, you're making merch money, but it's all going back into keeping the thing alive. There's no tour support. There's no advertising. What do you advertise? You know, you can only advertise on the internet. Really, there's no more magazines, and even that, you know, it's hard to get a budget for advertising. You know, videos. You do videos. You basically seems like you just need somebody that does social media, that you just hire 24 hours a day. Every day he's up, so or she, you know, 16 hours a day, and get on the internet and push it, you know, get it everywhere. Well, that seems to be the way to do it.
That's interesting that you bring that up. Now with the new band, the Whammy, do you have a social media plan in place? Do you have somebody who's going to you know, to pimp the Facebook and the Twitter, and do you have that?
Well, this is not my thing. You know, this is not my band. This I played on the album,
okay,
and it came out so well that they're in the cockpit. These guys, you know, and I would imagine they're going to do a great job because Metal Mind Productions in Poland, and they know how to promote. Okay. They know what it is to advertise. So I think they're in good hands. This thing's in good hands, you know. And then we'll see what happens when we go out and you know, see what the response is. And it's a great project. And so, you know, I'm not involved in the day-to-day, you know, things going on with it. So, but we're in good hands.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to hearing this. I mean, especially, you know, when you see a 16-year-old kid that comes into the guitar world, you know, there is no expectation. So if he's, you know, amazing right off the bat, it's just something new to get excited about. Now, quickly, exciting drum wars with your brother Carmine. Does he?
Yeah. Don't call him Carmen.
I know, he's not with the Raspberries or whatever that band was. Eric, right?
They call him Carmine Appice, and he's not that at all. He's Carmine Appice. So when they call him that, I go, "Oh, that's not this guy. That's somebody else. That's
not my brother. That's the guy down the road." But your brother, are we going out for more drum wars with? And are you still using Jim, your singer Jim Cream?
Yeah, we got Jim Cream singing on a lot of the dates. It depends where we are.
Okay.
But he's singing most of them with us, and yes, we're going to go out in June, July.
Oh, great.
And actually, we got some in upstate New York in April. You can check the Drum Wars site, drumwars.com, or my site. And, yeah, that's just it's a great show, and we have a ball doing it, and we kick each other's ass on the stage, and it's a concert. It's not a drum clinic. It's not any... Actually, we just made a new poster that says... My girlfriend actually is a graphic designer.
Right.
Finally got a new poster she put together. Says, "This is not a warning. This is not a drum clinic." Because some people think it's Drum Wars, a drum clinic, or something like that. But it's not.
I see it. I see the poster.
8-9 shows. No, not shows. 8-9 songs. You know, from Sabbath, Dio, Ozzy, some of Carmine's past, and it's a rock show. You know, but there's a lot of drums in it. And it's high energy, and we have a ball doing it. And actually, we're going to release a couple of songs with both of us playing on it, some drum songs too. Because Carmine started a record label,
okay.
And so we're recording. He came to my house and did some drums. I'm going to put drums on the same track, so we'll have a couple of songs, maybe an EP that we can put out very soon, and it'll be both of us on there, very drum oriented, which is cool, very heavy.
Now, is it going to be a re-recording of a Sabbath song or a Stewart song, or is this something brand new?
No, it's something brand new. It's some stuff that I did a while ago with a guitar player called Ira Black.
Right.
He's from L.A., and J.D. was on bass from Black Label Society. He's a good friend, great guy, great bass player. And it's something I did with them a long time ago, and we listened to these tracks, and they were friggin' rocking, you know, really heavy stuff. So, you know, I contacted them and told them what we wanted to do, and everybody was cool with it. So Carmine and I started putting drums parts on it. You know, we had to edit the song up a little bit and then figure out, okay, you're playing this part, I'm playing this part, we're playing together, a little trade-off. So it's going to be very interesting.
Oh,
you know?
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And we're actually mixing the drums like Carmine's on the left, like the old Beatle records. The whole set is on the left, and my whole set's on the right. You know,
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
going to be
so it's going to be
interesting.
like, you know, if you put on the headphones, you're going to hear sort of left channel,
Split.
right channel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's actually brilliant. Can I ask you one question? And feel free not to answer, but you know, you did Heaven and Hell, and then Ronnie passed away, and then the guys got back together and did Sabbath. Were you hurt that you weren't asked to be the drummer on that tour? I mean, feel free not to answer.
I would have, yeah, in a way, of course. What do you think? You know, you go, wow, I got a history with this band, and I'm sure. What do you think Bill felt like?
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, I mean, he was with them forever and started with them, and it becomes, you know, the biggest thing since white bread, and you're not there, and so my feelings go to Bill. You know, like, damn, that must be hard. And to me, you know, I know how the organization works, so I wasn't shocked,
right.
But I would have loved to have been involved, and it would have been pretty cool to be this far in a career and then, you know,
finish
do
like
something
that.
as big as that. And I love playing with Tony and Geezer too, but I can understand that maybe it was something to do with, you know, Tony, Geezer, and I were known as Heaven and Hell with Ronnie, and to do the next Sabbath with the same people and Ozzy, maybe it didn't sit right, you know. I don't know. So,
but sometimes you would think the musicality takes precedence, because Heaven and Hell have gotten into such a pocket. I mean, when you saw the band live, or you saw the Live at Whack-In DVD, and you just went, Jesus Christ, this band is firing on all cylinders, you know. And
yeah, absolutely was.
And you just sort of think it's a no-brainer. I mean, here you've got this band where everybody's in the same pocket, and then, okay, you change the vocalist. And I said, I don't want to, you know, make it sound that we're just replacing Ronnie, because that's not the case. But you know what I mean. You had this band.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, because Heaven and Hell became, you know, it was the first just an album to be released, and it was like, hey, why don't we go out and play? Okay, and then the next step, do an album. Next step, let's go do another tour. And it was building, and the band got better and better and better. Everybody was playing great, and we can feel, you know, when it's one of those bands that, you know, you get back together and it just feels right. You know, it feels good. There's a great feel to the band because we played together for a long time, and obviously we're all on the same page. So yeah, you're right. It was firing on all cylinders at the end. We were just cranking, you know, and it's just too bad it didn't carry on, you know. But that's usually down to, sometimes it's not a musical decision. It's down to business decisions. It's down to other people involved in the band, you know. And Rick Rubin produced it. They never really worked with Rick Rubin. I don't know Rick, so he's not going to bring my name up, as I don't think he would, you know. I don't know him. So it's a whole bunch of different people around the band. Sometimes, not only this band, any band that dictate what direction it's going to go in, you know. Yeah. So, but I love, you know, I'm still in touch with Tony and Geezer, and yeah, I love playing with them. It was just, you listen to some of the stuff we did together, and it's pretty awesome.
Well,
so,
I'm just gonna say, I certainly hope as a fan that at some point you'll play together with them, whatever for the reason, but I just hope, because just musically it really sounds great. I mean, the parts just work. You know, the band just works. So let's plug what we need to plug. We've got drumwars.com. What else do we need to plug?
VinnyAppice.com. Okay. Who else? I don't know. Drumwars.com.
Yeah, we got
Carmine School.
Okay.
Hey, we were talking about Brian May before, right? You're gonna have Brian May on next week,
right? Yeah.
Right.
On Tuesday, I'm interviewing Brian May of Queen, and of course, you know, listen, that's one of those.
First of all, that's special. That's great.
Yeah.
And tell Brian I said hello. And Brian, from back in the '80s, like 1980, when I joined Black Sabbath, we would play London, and he would come up and jam. and he did that 2 or 3 times with us. You know, he came up and I think he played Paranoid and some of the other songs, and it was just fantastic. And he's such a great guy and great musician, great person. And then when we did the Heaven and Hell tour, I forgot where we were, what city, and Brian May was there. So Brian came down to the show, hung out, and then afterward we had the meet and greet thing.
Right.
So we said, okay, you guys got to go to the meet and greet. Come on, after the show, the usual, you know, hurry up. And Brian goes, oh, I'll go down with you. So he comes down with us, and he gets a chair and sits at the end of the table. So all the people that came, they paid for the meet and greet. They're expecting just the 4 of us from Heaven and Hell. And then they walk in, and they see the 4 of us. Then they see Brian May at the end, and some of them just freaked out. They almost fainted, you know, like, oh my God. And he sat there and signed stuff, and it was just incredible. He's so nice, you know.
Did anybody think that he was fake? Did anybody go, I started to cut you off.
What's that?
Did anybody think that was a fake? Did anybody go, oh, that's not really Brian, that's just some roadie?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because you can feel the vibe and the aura, you know, when it's somebody special like that, you know.
Yeah.
You can tell that's him, you know. And but it was so funny watching people walk in. I would watch their face, and they go, "Oh my God, there's Tony and Geezer and Ronnie, and there's Vinny. Oh my, who's Brian May at the end? Oh my God!" And they would freak out. And it was so cool of him to just sit there, and he did the whole thing with us. It was amazing.
That's exceptionally funny. What a great guy!
Great guy.
I can imagine that doing those meet and greets after being on the road for a while, they might get tiring and tedious. I mean, they can't always be up for people kind of events, and for him to come and sit there for no reason is fantastic.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's unbelievable he did that. It's like, wow, this is really cool, you know. And it made it just one of those special nights, you know, something that doesn't happen too often.
Wow,
so,
that's great. Beautiful. Well, you know, I'm interviewing him for this Brian May, Carrie Ellis candlelight concert stuff where he sits with this female vocalist and they do some of the songs that he loves and some of the Queen songs. And just listening to it, it's amazing how it doesn't matter who sings those Queen songs. With his guitar on it, it just works. It's just amazing that it works in any context. It's superior songwriting and superior playing.
Yes, yeah. A guitar player like Brian, oh my God, you know, it's like doesn't get too much better than that.
No,
unbelievable.
But what a great story! I mean, I've heard he's a great guy, and that story you just told me, I guess, confirms it because, you know. Yeah,
he's an amazing guy, and just guys that hung around, you know, that I met around Sabbath and Dio and stuff like Rob Halford, another great guy, you know. Just amazing. There's some amazing people in the business that are huge and famous, but they're just down to earth, you know. Alice Cooper, you know, just really cool people.
Yeah, I have to admit, I've met both those people, Rob Halford and Alice, and if I can just give you 2 quick stories. First of all, I interviewed Rob Halford once, and they had set it up in his hotel room, and we did the interview in about 15 minutes. And then for the next hour and a half, we talked about what was going on in Montreal, and we're talking about my upcoming marriage at the time. And you know, he's just a wonderful person. And Alice Cooper, I named my son Ryan Cooper, named after Ryan Roxy, his guitarist, and of course Alice. And I told that to Alice during an interview, and he said to me, "I want to meet your son." And Alice came to town on the Iron Maiden tour they were opening, and he had set up all these passes, and he sat with my son and my daughter, who were, I think, 6 and 9 at the time, and he sat with them for an hour on the bus talking about Gatorade, talking about what movies they needed to see, talking... I mean, who does that?
I know, it's incredible. I mean, with Alice, when we were on tour with him at Heaven and Hell, you know, one night, Eric Singer called up and goes, "Hey, we're going to go to the movies. You want to go?" I go, yeah, I'll go. You know, Alice is going to go too. I'm, oh, cool. Who gets to go to movies with Alice Cooper, you know? So we all meet in the lobby. We walk over to the theater or drive. I forgot how we got there. And, you know, Alice doesn't look like Alice, you know. He looks totally different off stage. And we go into the movie theater, and he buys everybody popcorn and whatever you wanted. And just a super, super nice guy and generous, and people coming up to him, he's signing stuff. And then we went in the movie theater, and we just hung out all night. It was really a cool thing, you know, but it was really funny going to movies with Alice Cooper, you know. And I just saw Rob last week. I was doing the Rock Fantasy Camp. I do a lot of these Rock Fantasy Camp things. And Judas Priest was the bill for
that camp,
the last week's camp. Yeah. So Rob came down on the Saturday, and he sang with all the bands, and it was just incredible. And then we had a couple of moments we can talk, and he just said some great things, you know, about, because he sang in Sabbath with Tony Geezer and I too.
That's right, in Costa Mesa or something in 90.
Yeah, 92. I got a poster right in front of me. November 14th and 15th, 1992. I have this big Ozzy poster in my studio room here, signed by everybody, and Rob too, so it's really cool.
Silly question about that.
Actual date.
I've seen the video on YouTube because people have posted it, but was that recorded on any level professionally, where it's sitting in a vault somewhere?
You know what? I don't know. It probably was, because it's such a big show and they had video and you know, things will might, so it's easy for them to just feed it into somewhere. But I don't know for sure. But after that show, there was talk of actually continuing with Rob.
Wow.
You know, as Black Sabbath. Yeah. And
what was the?
It didn't go much further.
For fans that don't remember, what was the occasion that he was Ronnie sick at the time, or had Ronnie left the band? Like, why was Rob singing? I forget.
Because the gig was booked. It's Ozzy Osbourne, and then it says very special guest Black Sabbath, and Sepultura was opening.
Right.
And Ronnie didn't want to go play on the same show. You know?
Gotcha.
And especially going on before Ozzy, and
gotcha.
And it was one of those things where, you know, he didn't feel right about it, and he didn't want to do the show, but, you know.
It had been booked, and advances had been paid, and the band decided to show up.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but, you know, Ronnie didn't want to do it, so the show wasn't canceled, so it was like, okay, we got to go to plan B, and Rob Halford was the man to sing, and poor Rob, because we went to, we were on tour, and we played Phoenix. The next day we had off, and we went into a rehearsal studio in Phoenix, and rehearsed with Rob, but we only had a couple hours, so he had to go through like 12, 13 songs, and they were complicated. The old Sabbath songs changed tempos, there were different things going on, and he had to just nail it, you know, and he did such a great job, you know, that we went on stage, and we were all nervous when we played that show, because there were all songs we didn't play with Ronnie, a lot of songs we didn't play, you know, and there were probably half the set with stuff that we never played before that was more of Ozzy tunes, and besides us not playing it, Rob, we never played with Rob, so it was everybody was nervous before those shows.
Well,
but then when we started playing it kicked ass. It was like, whoa, this is cool.
And it's amazing that you mentioned that you thought of maybe doing Sabbath with Rob after, because that would have certainly been interesting.
Yeah, there was talk of, from what I heard, that, you know, maybe we would continue with him, you know, so that would have been really cool too.
And of course, you know, I think 15 or 16 years later, out in, I believe it was in New Jersey or somewhere, Rob sang with Sabbath again, but this time replacing Ozzy, who called in sick with a sore throat one day. So there you go. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. I mean, I think we covered everything.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, we covered everything. Got a couple of good stories in there, and you know, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, good. Well, always a pleasure. And you know, when you get back to Montreal or whatever, let me know. We'll do another interview. We'll post it. We'll let everybody know that you're coming to town.
All right, thank you. We'll call you so we can ride with you to the venue, because you know where everything is there too.
That's right.
Like we did last time.
like the last time. That's right. I'll be the personal talk.
All right, Mitch.
Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good talking to you.
You too.
Bye-bye.